Our new strength cycle is out. It's going to have 3 different parts for 3 days a week. It'll be formatted like this. Part A is going to be a warm-up. Part B is going to be the bulk of the barbell movement. And then part C is going to be accessory burnout stuff. So in the warm-up, we'll see some unilateral work, i.e. one arm, one leg, that kind of deal. We're looking for quality reps, possibly slower reps. And then when we move into part B, we'll be using barbells. On day 1, we'll be doing squats, so a back squat or a front squat. Day 2 is going to be a press, so either a strict press, shoulder press, military press, whatever you want to call it, or bench press. And then day 3 is going to be a pull off the floor, so it'll look like a deadlift or a power clean. And then lastly, part C is going to be the accessory burnout stuff. So you'll see XME, that means times max effort. So 3 XME, 3 sets, max effort. Could look like banded hamstring curls, whatever it is. You'll go to failure, you'll rest whatever it says, you'll do that again for however many sets, right? And then if there's something that says as few sets as possible, so if it were 100 bench press with a bar, you'll do 100 in as few sets as possible. That could look like you come out with a set of 60, you burn out, you set it down, you do 10, you burn out, and you go smaller reps, that's fine. What we don't want to do is game the system and try to do sets of 10 to get a faster time. It's not CrossFit, it's a strength and building size, right? So through the list, there are quite a handful of movements. We will run through the less common movements. There are 19 or 20 of them, so we'll run through them, give you an idea of what they are. If you have any questions, ask a coach. The first movement we're going to go over is the lunge reach. You're going to want to do this without shoes on. You can leave socks on, whatever you want. You're going to find a foam pad or an ab mat will work. You're going to stand on one foot. What's going to happen is you're going to work through as longer range of motion as you can, reaching forward, coming back to the center under control. Then you're going to go to the side, reaching as far as you can that way, back to the center under control. Then reaching behind you as far as you can, back to the center under control, and then to the opposite side, tapping, coming back under the center under control. The second movement we're going to hit is the weighted glute bridge. You're going to need 2 things. You're going to need a barbell, you're going to need a yoga mat, some kind of pad, and then you might need a third with some weights on the side, right? So we're going to start by putting the pad somewhere in our hip crease. The bar is going to go on top of that pad, just for cushion there. We're going to lay flat on the floor. From here, our heels are going to have them close to our butt. And then there, we're going to lift up, reaching our full hip extension, so knee, hip, and shoulder should all be in a tight line. You're going to hold that for max time. If you can hold that for 2-3 minutes, then we might want to add a little bit of weight, make it more like a 40 to 90 second hold. The next 2 movements we're going to cover are the dumbbell pullover and the dumbbell row. Dumbbell pullover, we're going to be laying flat on a bench. Arms are going to start straight overhead with a dumbbell in each hand. From here, you're going to reach as far over your head as you can, under control, and you're going to pull back to full extension. Right? So again, reaching back and pulling back under control. Right? Next movement is going to be the dumbbell row. 2 ways you guys can do this. Option 1 would be the bent over row with both dumbbells at the same time, pulling to your chest, controlling back down. Option 2 would be to go 1 arm at a time, brace against the bench, kick 1 foot back, row up, control back down. That's the dumbbell pullover and the dumbbell row. We're back with the dumbbells for the next movement, which is an alternating dumbbell bench press. So we're going to start laying back. We're going to press both of them up. This is the start position for the movement. From here, one arm's going to control down, press back up. Then the next arm's going to come down and press back up. Notice the finish position is the same time, same every time, so we're not going to be in a different position. Next movement we have is the bridge the gap jump. This is going to have it set up with a box and 4 plates, anything to get some elevation so the arch of our foot's not touching the ground. We're going to start by having the balls of our feet on the front plate, the heels of our feet on the back plates. From here we're going to go into a jump. trying to reach as much hip extension as we can and landing softly on the box in a quarter to half squat. It'll look like under control, landing softly, you'll step back off, you'll find that spot, and you'll go again. Next up we have the Franken squat. This one's going to have a bar. We don't want to load it heavily. Might be an empty bar, might be 65, 95, somewhere in that ballpark, right? First thing we have to do is get the bar onto our shoulders like we're going to go into a front squat. Then we're going to release the hands. They're going to be straight out in front. We'll find our squat stance, and we squat. Just like normal, we want knees tracking over the toes. For this, we want our hands to stay even with the bar or above to create that shelf, or else the bar is going to want to roll off. Don't do that. Next up, we have the banded hamstring curl. For this, we're going to have J hooks, making sure that they are on the outside so that when the band goes on, it's not going to pull it in. From here, we're going to have the band on both hooks. We're going to slide our heels and our calves underneath. You're going to have the backside of your heel maybe slightly above your shoe on the band. From here, we're going to lay flat. You're going to lift the heels towards your butt, hold for a split second, control back down under control. So it's not going to back and forth quickly. It's going to be in, squeeze, control out. For the next one, we have the seated hip rotation. Right, from here, we're going to sit in a butterfly stretch. We're going to try to stay nice and tall throughout this whole movement, keeping as little movement as possible other than in our hip. Right, from here, we're going to lift one hip, rotate to the outside, trying to get the knee to come back down, and you're going to control back and back in. And you'll switch sides, controlling out, tapping the knee, and coming back. Ideally, we have less rock. The less rock we have, the better. The next movement is the Bulgarian split squat or the rear elevated split squat, whichever one we want to call it. So one foot's going to be on a box or a bench. I like to point the toe. Some people like to be on the toe. It's your choice. So from here, we're going to lower down and come back up. I'll do it again with the other leg so we can see the range of motion. So from here, we'll make sure we have a nice wide base, lowering down until we are close to parallel, and then back up. The next movement is the behind the neck strict press. So the bar is going to be behind our neck, also known as in a back rack. The hands are going to be in our normal press position, so we're not going to go out wide, normal clean and jerk kind of position. From here, elbows are going to be underneath the bar, slightly behind, but not trying to drive behind us. From here, we press straight up, finishing in our locked out position, trying to stay stacked so we're not arching our back. As we control back down, elbows come just behind us, and we finish the rep. Next, we have the banded tricep extension. We can band this as heavily as we need. Also, to make it harder, we can just reach further up the band. But you're going to start about chin height. Again, if we need to go a little bit lower, we can to make that easier. From here, elbows are going to be in the same position. You're going to lock the arms and then control back up. Right, so just like the banded hamstring curl, we don't want to bounce through the movement. We want it to be nice and controlled, hitting full lockout, controlling back up. The next two movements we're going to cover are the ski tuck hold and suitcase jump, right? Ski tuck hold, we're going to be like a downhill skier in a nice tuck position. Elbows are back, pretend like we're holding poles, and we're holding this, leaning forward. Almost a good morning position, but more bend in the knees. The next movement is the suitcase jump. You're going to have two dumbbells. You're going to lower down to about knee level and explode up. We're going to want to do those with light to moderate dumbbells, definitely not going to the heavy side. Next up is the ring rollout. This one we're going to need to be fairly cautious with, and we can also scale it back to a barbell rollout. This is a movement we're going to start in a plank. We can do this on knees or feet. We're starting in our plank. From here, we're rolling out and controlling back in. Again, with the knees out and controlling back in. So for me, I'll go from knees so that I can get that fuller range of movement. Next two movements are on one leg, the single leg broad jump and the single leg calf raise. Single leg broad jump, one foot, jumping, landing on the same foot, under control. So you're going to want to stick the landing, control it, and then go into the next one. What we don't want to see is landing, hopping out of it. Next one is the calf raise. You can use a pole, you can use it without a pole, but just for a little bit of balance, raising up, controlling down. Raising as high as you can, controlling down. Another single leg movement. We're going to start in a regular wall sit with 90-degree bend at the ankle, knee, and the hip. From here, we're going to bring our feet together. Right? After that, we're going to raise one foot up, hold for about 5 seconds, control back down, plant the foot, switch legs, hold for 5, keep alternating back and forth until we get the accumulated time. 2 kettlebell movements are next. The first one is a double kettlebell snatch. Right? So we start with 2 kettlebells, thumbs facing forward, just like a kettlebell swing or the one-arm kettlebell snatch. We start by swinging. From there, both hands are going to pull, or both arms are going to pull, high and outside, and then a punch overhead. Right? That finish, just like any overhead position, make sure we stay stacked. We're not arching our back to get the range of motion. From there, we lower back down, go right back into the next rep. If you feel comfortable, you can go straight into the swing, or you can bring to the shoulders to bring down. Kettlebell snatch, right? The second movement is a front rack carry. So we bring the kettlebells to a front rack. You're gonna put your knuckles together. Knuckles are gonna go right by your chin, and your elbows are nice and high. From here, you just walk, focusing on midline staying tight so we're not arching our back to help the kettlebell stay nice and high. So here's part 2 of the movements for the strength cycle. We're going to start with the hip extension. We're on the GHD. We're going to be face down, out, flat. The biggest thing with the hip extension is to make sure that once we're out, our hip is free of the pad. So if you drew from where a belt buckle sat, straight line down to the floor, shouldn't be impeded by the pad. Right? From there, we're going to go lowering down and then pull back up to parallel to the floor, back down with each rep finishing parallel to the floor.